Okay, everybody, here we go. It's me, Gregory Mannarino. Tuesday, July 30th, 2024. Pre-market report. I want to talk to you guys and girls about something. We've touched on this before, but I really want to open this up so you can really get a handle or an understanding on why what is about to happen. And we can't stop this. There is no way to stop it. Period. Is the absolute worst thing that could possibly happen to all of us. We understand. Let's just start off with this. Tomorrow is the big day that this market has been waiting for. What's the Federal Reserve going to do with regard to announcing that they're going to be cutting rates? The Fed is buying it all right here and right now. That's why we are witnessing this action in the debt market that it's insane what we're witnessing here. But no one's opening their mouth except you and me to kind of expose the lie. That is, we're watching a phenomenon occur here in the debt market. Excuse me. And it's not getting the attention at all, especially from the mainstream media. Well, they're not going to tell you the truth anyway. But some entity out here is buying epic sums of debt, pushing the yield curve low with a 10-year yield. And I'm going to give you one guess as to who that is. So tomorrow we're going to hear from the Federal Reserve on its monetary decision, whether or not they're actually going to make it publicly known that they are actually in here manipulating the debt market, and that's exactly what they're doing. But it's going to take on a new level soon. Not tomorrow, though. I already explained my take on how this is going to play out. First of all, as we have covered, the Fed is in here cutting. They're buying all the debt, and this is obviously keeping bond yields suppressed. We've watched this phenomenon of yields dropping as of late, but no one's got the guts anywhere to talk about it except you and me. Okay, so tomorrow, nothing. I think there's a 30% chance, I said this yesterday, that the Fed's going to cut rates tomorrow. Moving forward, that percentage is going to move higher, but there's no doubt at all in my mind that towards the end of this year, September or so, the Fed's going to start making the announcement that they're in here cutting rates. Now, you know how this works. And I want to explain something to you even more disgusting about what's going to happen and how terrible this is. So when the Fed says again that it's going to cut rates, that means it's giving itself permission to inflate further, to increase its balance sheet. It's a very simple mechanism. The Fed creates cash out of nothing, gets into the debt market, and buys the debt. Now, let me show you this. This is, and look, anything that I talk about here, please look this up for yourself if you don't believe what I'm saying. This is the Federal Reserve's balance sheet since 2008, what it looks like. You see this screaming uptrend? You had a little dip here. We're getting a little dip now. The Federal Reserve and its associated banks that benefit from this. Oh, yeah, you didn't know that? Absolutely. We're going to talk more about that in a moment. They will not permit this to happen. You see, the Federal Reserve's balance sheet, let me just read this to you, all right? The Federal Reserve's balance sheet earns income on its assets. The Federal Reserve considers its balance sheet or the debt that it's holding as an asset. It pays itself and its member banks interest and dividends on the balance sheet. Oh, you didn't know that? Well, you're not supposed to know that. As a matter of fact, let me just read this to you. And I'm going to go back to that. See this? Federal Reserve Bank stock is owned by banks, never by individuals. Federal law requires national banks to be members of the Federal Reserve and to own a specified amount of the stock of the Reserve Bank in the Federal Reserve district where they are located. So, member banks of the Federal Reserve, obviously this is the Wall Street institutions for the most part here. benefit from a expanding Federal Reserve balance sheet. Now, we're sitting right here at about $7.3 trillion on the Federal Reserve's balance sheet. This is going to be going above 10 very soon. And the Federal Reserve and, of course, its member banks could not possibly be happier, because why? They earn interest on this, and it pays dividends to the member banks. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you heard, I don't know, CNBC, Bloomberg, Fox Business, a Federal Reserve president, the Federal Reserve chairperson, a sitting president, someone running for president, a member of Congress explain to you that the larger that the Federal Reserve balance sheet gets, the more that the mega banks benefit from it? Do you see what I'm talking about, how twisted this is? Again, do you think that the Federal Reserve and its member banks don't want to inflate this balance sheet? Because that's what we're going to get. Soon as the Federal Reserve makes their announcement, okay, they're already in the market, buying it all, that they're giving themselves permission. Again, think about what I'm saying. Imagine an institution that can give itself permission to inflate even further, to buy more debt, to add assets to its balance sheet, and then pays itself and its member institutions interest on that debt and dividends as well. And you and I, what we have to do is support this whole thing, and we're paying for it right now by surging inflation. And this is a mechanism not just here in the United States. This is central banks around the world who operate all on the same mechanism. Did you know that? Of course you didn't know this, because you're not allowed to know any of this stuff. People, it's time to wake the freak up. You know, it's interesting what's happening right now. If you were to listen to, right now I got CNBC on right here. If you listen to CNBC, Bloomberg, Fox Business, again, it's all the same thing as it always is. And they all echo it at about the same time. How by the federal, you see what they're doing is they're trying to sell you something. They're always trying to sell you something. So with these institutions, the mainstream propaganda ministries, their new theme is, okay, we're supposed to be in an economic boom now, right? That's what we've been told. We're the envy of the world. Isn't that what Bidenstein, Mummy Man, our current thing, creature, vomitous mass puke, sitting behind the Resolute desk, said to us during his State of the Union? We're the envy of the world. Our economy is so strong. Okay, so let me ask you, if that's the truth, then why is it that CNBC, Bloomberg, Fox Business, pick one, they're all saying that, oh, by the Federal Reserve, they're going to be cutting rates. This is going to give us an economic boost. Why do we need an economic boost? We don't. First of all, this economy could not possibly be worse off. This is an elimination. This is an extermination. This is an extinction level event of the middle class who's paying for it all, as always. Where's the rallying people in the street? Oh no, they're not there, because they're being deceived and distracted by every means that you can think about. Okay? Fact of the matter is, by the Federal Reserve getting in here, inflating its balance sheet further, explain to Greg Mannarino, those of you who are economists out here, if the Federal Reserve has to create vast amounts of cash out of thin air and get into the debt market and buy the debt, inflate its balance sheet so it can pay itself and its member banks interest on that debt and dividends based upon its balance sheet here, how is this not massively inflationary? Guess what? It is. And who's paying for it? You are. And I am as well. But no one's got the guts to tell you that. Do you realize what I'm saying to you? I really hope so, man. So look this stuff up for yourself. All right, this is, I literally just copied and pasted this. How the Federal Reserve Bank stock is owned by banks. And they pay themselves interest and dividends on their balance sheet. This cannot be allowed to stand. This upward trend here must continue so the Federal Reserve can pay itself interest, so it can pay dividends and interest payments to its member banks. But you and I, we get the shaft beyond elbow deep in the gabagool. You understand what I'm saying here? And all this is going to do, again, by allowing the Fed to continue to inflate, is destroy us all. That's what this really comes down to. Central banks around the world, they want a mission to, well, I mean, get rid of us all, or at least a large percentage of us, and foster that wealth transfer effect up to the 1 and 2%ers. Do you think it's any surprise here that Kaka Kamala and the big T, I'm talking about Trump, and his cohort, Damian Thorne, are both saying the same things, that trickle-down economics works? That by enriching the powerful and the mega people, the 1 and 2%ers, that you benefit from that? Do you believe that's true? Do you really believe that's true? Do you think they work for you still? You really believe that? Oh, man. I tell you, it's there are some that do. And they are just, they're just done. They're just done here, people. I don't know what to tell you. All right, look, I wanted to expose this here for what it is. And I want to hear from you. Should there be a law? Of course there won't be. Against this here, that by the Fed giving itself to inflate, and then now announcing whenever they do, it's not going to be tomorrow, maybe the month after that, maybe the month after that, that they're giving themselves permission to inflate even more so they could inflate their balance sheet and pay even larger interest payments and more dividends to their member banks and themselves. Does that sound legal to you? Well, it is. Our loving, caring representatives, they're 100% behind it. Oh, yeah. So is the current imbecile sitting behind the Resolute desk. And so is Donald Trump. Oh, yeah. Anyway, people, look, I really hope you're understanding what's happening to you. That's what I've been telling you. All we got is each other. Once you get hip to the system, who was it that said if people really understood how the financial system works, they would run for the hills or something along those lines? People would panic if they really understood what was going on. It's a system that is designed to, again, enrich the 1 and 2%ers at the expense of you, me, and everybody else. We all lose. You understand that? All right, people, look, that's kind of where we're at. I really hope you got something out of this. So what's happening right now, just real quick, the market is in a holding pattern. It's on standby, waiting to hear what's going to come out of its mouth. It's not human. All right, tomorrow, when they parade out Fed Chair Jerome Powell, puke, vomitous mass that it is. You understand? Okay. The market is going to be hinging on every word, every letter, every syllable that comes out of his mouth, hoping for more debt to be pumped into the system. And that will, of course, cause greater price action distortions, as you and I have been calling for years, is going to happen in this market. Does this sound right to you, or is Greg way out there? Let me know, okay? Because I always want to know what's on your mind. So we'll see how this plays out. And all right, look, so people, I want to hear from you on this. Did you learn something today that you've never heard before from this video blog? If you have heard this before, please let me know who's saying it, because I want to congratulate that person, whoever it might be, for understanding the system the way that we do and exposing it for the lie that it is. Anyway, all right, I will see all of you later, 4 or 5 p.m. Eastern for the live stream. It's going to be just as beautiful as now, people, all right? That's kind of it, and until we meet again, take care of yourselves and take care of each other.